machine gun, followed by his Wagner super children, and from heaven, or at least the sky, Liszt and all the women he loved, including a version of Cosima, look down on it and say, well, we've got to do something about that. And so they're all playing music and singing a song, and it's very hippie-ish. And so they all climb into a rocket ship powered by love, essentially. They all climb into a love rocket ship in heaven and then fly the love rocket ship down to fight. I am not making this up. I am not exaggerating. I am trying to keep this as simple as possible.
You're doing great.
I'm missing a lot of stuff. I'm missing a lot of stuff.
You're almost there.
And so they fly the love rocket ship, or the love-powered rocket ship, excuse me, and they fire rainbow lasers at Franken-Hitler and his electric guitar machine gun. And they destroy Franken-Hitler and his electric guitar machine gun. And then Liszt sings a song basically about love winning, love triumphing. And that's the movie. And I left out a lot of stuff. I might have even gotten some stuff in the wrong order, but it's an experience, not a plot.
Yeah, my understanding is that reportedly this script was 57 pages long.
Welcome to the Celluloid Mirror. I'm Sean Mannion. I'm going to be your host for this mini-sode. You just heard another clip from our episode from last week, which talks about Ken Russell's Listomania and Taika Waititi's Thor Ragnarok. If you haven't already listened to that, why haven't you already listened to that? You're listening to things out of order. We're really proud of that one. We've been planning to do that episode for such a long time. It was one of the first pairings that we came up with way back. Why am I playing a clip from an episode that we just did in this mini episode? You, loyal listener, are like, well, usually I get to hear what's coming up next. There's a reason for it. And that is we are taking a mini hiatus of just a couple of weeks before we release the final episode of the season. And the final episode of the season is going to be a very special, little bit different episode. A little bit different than what you're used to. So next week, you're going to get a rerun. You're going to get a rerun of our very first episode, if you haven't gone back to listen to it yet, on Transformers the movie and Michael Haneke's Funny Games. I would recommend that, you don't have to go back and listen to it because we're going to re-release it next week for you to enjoy all over again if you listen to it during the original release, or to enjoy for the first time if you haven't gone back to listen to the first episode again. So that's what we're doing next week. The following week, we're just going to have another little mini, which is going to set you up for what our final episode of the season is going to be. And why did I say it was special? I said it was special. I said we're doing something different because on 9/7, September 7th, for those of you who get this through Apple or Spotify, August 29th, for those of you on Patreon, we're going to be releasing an episode on Back to the Future. Back to the Future, very popular, well-known movie, and a movie you may not have heard of, and actually you may not even be able to get to see yet, called Masking Threshold, which is an incredibly unique horror film. I don't know, you're talking about an obscure movie and you're talking about a popular movie. That's normal. That's not unusual. You guys talking about like a weird film that nobody's heard of or that few people have heard of, and then a super popular film. That's unusual, but that's not unusual for you guys. Yeah, that's not unusual for us. But what is that the filmmaker, Johannes Grenzfurthner, is joining us to talk about his film and Back to the Future. It's a great conversation. It's a lot of fun. It's very different from what we've been doing. And we thought this would be a really fun wrap up for season 2. before we wrap this up, this little mini episode, giving you a little preview of what's to come, we wanted to talk a little bit about your reactions to the last episode, to the Thor Ragnarok and Listomania episode. Now, some people never heard of or never seen Listomania before, and when we posted on social media about it, or when we shared about it, their reactions to like, what is this movie, were pretty fun. But we just wanted to share a couple of additionally entertaining comments and messages that we received about this latest episode. Our friend Ashley Atkinson said, mentioned one of our quotes from the episode. "Who are you to second guess Kate Blanchett's choices?" She says, "I want that on a tote bag." And maybe it should be. Maybe we need to make merch. We don't really have merch. We should probably have merch. Do you guys want merch? Let us know if you want merch. We'll put that on a tote bag. And our friend Alex Bone said, "Blanchett nailed it as hella." We totally agree, of course. And our friend Karen Fleisch, whose voice you will soon hear in an upcoming production of ours, video production, and who's also in our film It's Normal. Karen said, "How have I not seen this film? I love Ken Russell. Gothic, lol," she said. So we appreciated those comments. Bunch of comments and messages on things about people very interested in, like, oh, Ken Russell, he basically created the music video, or I've never heard of this movie until just the other day, talking about Listomania, and now I'm so ready for it, hearing a little bit about from the show. People totally agreeing with us about Kate Blanchett in Thor Ragnarok. Loved her as that character. Yes, she is a queen. One person mentioned that Jack Kirby had done costume designs for Julius Caesar in the 60s, and that it's wild. I still need to look that up. I'm going to look it up. I'll put, if I can, I'll put a link in the show notes about that, because that sounds like fun. But yeah, we'll put a link in the show notes to just a couple of these designs that look amazing, as one would expect from the great, the King, Jack the King Kirby, as he has often been referred. Our friend Spanish said, "I just listened to the first 20 minutes of this, and I feel of the episode, and I feel like I've had a 4-course meal stuffed into my 1-course body." There is so much to digest here. I love the music of Franz Liszt and Richard Wagner, and though I've never seen the film, the distortion of reality in a way reminds me of how I saw the film Velvet Goldmine, which not only distorted the lives of Bowie and Iggy Pop, but tried to use a Citizen Kane backdrop to move the film along. I applaud Sean for getting through this section of the podcast, not going into a penis overload. I mean, it's hard. There's a lot of penis in that movie. It's a lot. That Spanish also mentioned, I love the interplay between you and Sean. He was commenting to Nicole directly, as you talk about these films, I don't picture you as droll film critics who have to break down the film to its elemental core. It's more like you're true fans of film who not only bring a lot of knowledge, but a lot of fun to the experience. Well, I'm glad you think we're making it fun. And, we do put a lot of time into looking things up, and we watch a lot of movies. we watch a lot of movies, maybe too many. And also mentioned that he's also tired of Marvel films, and they couldn't figure out how to translate his favorite Marvel characters, Fantastic Four and the Silver Surfer. Listen, man, I am with you on that. That film, Rise of the Silver Surfer, is just, there's so much potential in the Fantastic Four and the Silver Surfer, and I'm a big fan of those as well. And you also mentioned, Spanish also mentioned that the cartoons from the 60s, the Hanna-Barbera cartoons from the 60s, and how they handled all that were amazing. They followed the comics so closely, and it was just a good cartoon. It was just a great cartoon, and I kind of wish that they could just do that in the movies too. Like, follow through with it. It's it does get to be pretty tiresome that they just can't follow through on this stuff. I wish that was and really make it work. And that film was definitely a disappointment. And I'm hopeful for, I'm a big Fantastic Four fan. My first comic book or the first one that I owned was the Fantastic Four Annual number 22, which is the end of the Atlantis Attacks crossover. It was the end of the Atlantis Attacks crossover. It was this big, sprawling sort of finale. And of course, I was really little. I didn't totally get what was going on, but there was all these superheroes, and it was super fun. And I've always been a big Fantastic Four fan. Always loved that. I've read a lot of the early Kirby comics. It was, those were great. Those were super fun. And that they just haven't managed to get that group to work in a film is so disappointing. It feels like it should be easy. Like, what's hard about making a movie about a family that has space adventures, that has interdimensional adventures, that has aliens and interpersonal drama, and they don't always get along, but they love each other, and in the end they always come together. It's mind-blowing that they haven't made that work to me. I feel like it's just right there. You just reach out and grab it. But enough of my rambling and ranting about the Fantastic Four. One last message we got, friend of ours, Sam, who we've mentioned many times, I think, quoted, "I think the penis is only 8 feet because he's sitting on something." He said, that was a quote from the show if you haven't heard it yet, "Best thing I've heard today, Listomania sounds delightfully bizarre." It is delightfully bizarre. If you haven't watched it yet, please go watch it. It is so much fun. I really do think that if you haven't watched Listomania yet, you should. It's weird, it's bizarre, it's fun. At times, I think there's a good message in it. I'm not that has to be the reason to watch it, but I think there is a good message in it. And I think that, it's, if you have HBO Max, it's part of your subscription, go watch it. If it's not, rent it where it's rentable, get a free trial, watch it, enjoy it, or don't enjoy it. If you don't enjoy it, message us, let us know. Disagree with us, that's great. We love to get your comments and your messages, and email us info@4milescircus.com. You can go to anchor.fm/thecelluloid mirror, and you can leave a voicemail comment. You can comment on any of the social media posts about the episodes, or send us a message on the social media platforms. We like hearing back from you. And soon we're going to try to give you more options for that, I'm sure. But definitely, if you like what you're hearing, if you enjoy what we do, if you want to see more of other things that we're doing, if you want to see the raw video recordings of our episodes, come join us on Patreon. We have a lot of stuff there, an overwhelming amount of stuff, for just $2 a month. So anyway, I won't pitch you on that much more. But anyway, this mini episode is less mini now. So I'm just going to wrap this up by saying thank you all for listening. We've got the rerun coming for you next week. And I strongly suggest watch Back to the Future and look out for, anticipate this beginning of September for those of you listening on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, wherever you're listening. Look forward to this next episode. It's a really good episode that we're ending off the season with Masking Threshold by Johannes Grenzfurthner and Robert Zemeckis' Back to the Future. All right. Well, one more clip from the episode last week, and again, always would love to hear from you. Have a great rest of your week and enjoy the rerun next week. So what happens in Listomania? To be honest, it's penises mostly. It's mostly penises. And I'm not really joking about that.
There are some vaginas as well.
There are, but it's a lot of penises. So if, you know what, honestly, you know what, that is something that I would say might be a warning for people. If you're like, you know what, I don't need to see a lot of penises, you might want to avoid this movie because it's everywhere.
I mean, although if you just don't want to see realistic penises, there aren't a lot of those.
There are definitely not a lot of those. It is very representational. When I say this, I'm not saying that there's like a lot of guys going around with penises out. I'm saying that there's a lot of columns, which are already very, what's the word I'm looking for? Phallic. That are
a lot of columns?
Columns, like okay. Columns that hold up the ceilings in buildings. Oh, did you not notice all the columns that are penises?
No, you know what? That's an excellent point. But there are also non-column penises.
Yes.
That are not realistic.
That are not realistic also.
I was thinking of a different penis in particular that happens.
You were thinking of the 8-foot penis.
Is it only 8 feet?
I think technically it is only 8 feet. I remember reading it because I think he's sitting on something else. Anyway, I should actually,
in my mind. Anyway, yes.
I should actually describe this because people are going to be like, what is this 8-foot penis? It's not a porn. It is not a porn. Although knowing the youth these days, they're going to say it is, which just maybe sounds super old, but you know what? I'm not wrong. So Listomania, it follows the career of the pianist Franz Liszt. I know it's a pianist. He's a pianist and there's a lot of penises. God, I don't know how I think we're going to get pulled for how many times I've said penis.
We are very mature, so I'm sure we're going to be able to just put this in its artistic context and not make juvenile jokes.
Probably not.
Because look how great a job we're doing so far.
The Celluloid Mirror is a 4 Mile Circus production hosted by Nicole Solomon and Sean Mannion. Our theme music is Twisted by Kevin MacLeod. You can hear more from Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.filmmusic.io. Please take a few moments to rate and review The Celluloid Mirror on your podcast platform of choice. It really helps with discoverability. If you have questions or comments about what you heard on the show or suggestions for future episodes, feel free to email us at info@4milecircus.com or seek us out on social media. We are at 4 Mile Circus on Twitter and Instagram. Want more from the Celluloid Mirror, Sean and Nicole? Join our Patreon at patreon.com/4milecircus. You'll get early access to episodes, uncut video of our recording sessions, access to our Discord server, and much more. To learn more about everything we do, visit us at 4milecircus.com.